I will definitely say that after reading the screenplay, there were a lot of conversations afterwards about it. It's a very hard concept to put up on screen.
I quite specifically set out in writing the script to have it adhere to a classical three-act structure, because as when I'd written Memento, I really wanted the audience to have a familiar rhythm. But what I realized is that heist films kind of are in two halves. That is sort of slightly what happens, because you take on the idea of the sort of team building element of it, you take on the idea of planning the heist, explaining to the audience what it is these characters are going to do. And then in the second half of the film, you go and do it. So I think that some of the things that come across as structural complexities really come about as a result of taking existing film grammar. So, for example, in The Dark Knight, we do the same thing with parallel strands of action towards the end, coming together and snowballing to a climax. But in Inception, we try and take the structural grammar and make it part of the story. And in making it part of the story, we sort of make the audience pay a bit more attention to it, or wonder about how that structure works. And I've always liked films that kind of did that. I mean, films like Sidney Lumet made a great film years ago called The Offense that did that, where you sort of you start to look at the things that are left out in between scenes and what that means. I'm interested in genres like the film noir genre, where you take your everyday fears and neurosis and so forth, and you push it into the realm of melodrama. You push it into a dramatic situation that's beyond, obviously what you've ever experienced. And in that way, hopefully, you find something more universal, more relatable.
Chris's idea had been to, rather than make the dreams sort of hugely fantastical and obviously unreal, he wanted to make it feel like the audience is with the dreamer, and they believe that that's actually, these things are actually happening. But I think that it really helps everyone in that process, including the actors and everybody, if you're starting from something rather than just working in front of a green screen where you're having to conjure it all up from nowhere.
Well, Chris wanted to make a documentary about some of the science of dreams, and he and Warner Brothers hired a documentarian named Rocco Bellic, who's made a bunch of documentaries in the past, Genghis Blues being the most known, and they asked if I wanted to contribute something to the documentary, and I started and run an open collaborative production company called Hit Record, where thousands of artists from all over the world can come and collaborate on various projects in all sorts of media online. So people in the community contributed all sorts of visuals, animations, videos, photographs, music, and their thoughts and ideas, and they got intercut with Rocco's documentary.
The films that I've grown up admiring, whether it's the films of Stanley Kubrick or Terrence Malick particularly, or Ridley Scott, these to me are filmmakers who made films that for me growing up watching them, they could only be movies, whether they were adapted from novels, or whatever. It was the power of the movie image, the sound, the music all combined, that particularly unique cinematic experience that you've got. So that's what I'm always trying to get into my work, trying to recapture.
No matter what was going on, or the scale of the day, or the magnitude of the feat that he was accomplishing, there was always a stillness, and there was always intimacy, and there was always just this ability to find honesty in every moment. And I've only done one other kind of large-scale movie, and finding honest moments definitely wasn't the priority. And I've done a lot of small indie movies where, with a director, finding honest moments isn't the priority either.
For me, Chris is up there amongst one of all the greatest directors I've ever worked with, and I've done Houston, Lucy, Mankiewicz, and he's right up there.
I've led a very blessed life. I've had a great upbringing. I have great parents, and for the most part, I've gotten to live my dream of being an actor professionally. So what you do as an actor is you create as-ifs. You create parallels in your own life that you have emotional reactions to, and you try to relate them and insert them into the characters that you're trying to embody. I think that great directors like Chris and Marty always have a very, very specific intent when they step on set. And they always have a planned shot list. They always know what they want to do cinematically. They've put a tremendous amount of energy and thought behind everything that they're going to do, but they do allow that relationship with the actor to dictate ultimately the emotional journey of what the movie is and how to engage an audience on that journey. So what became interesting the more we talked about it is that as all these characters go further and further into different states of the subconscious, my character's also having a psychotherapy session with a therapist and come to terms with his demons, and it's one man's journey through therapy.
Généralement, quand je commence le travail de préparation, j'ai immédiatement des sources d'inspiration basées sur des gens que je connais ou d'autres personnages, d'autres acteurs. Je me suis inspirée d'une manière étrange de Christopher Nolan et de Leonardo DiCaprio. C'est toujours difficile d'expliquer ce travail-là. En fait, c'est ce moment où on ouvre des capteurs pour laisser entrer des énergies, pour que le personnage se construise à l'intérieur de nous-mêmes, qui plus est quand c'est un personnage si complexe.
I have such a small part in the movie, I don't feel qualified to talk about anything. I've worked on the film for 3 days, but I grew up with a lot of dangerous psychopaths where I come from, and you probably sense that in me unconsciously. Good casting.
I just wouldn't not like to enter anybody's dream or have anyone enter mine.
Oh no, I don't go into people's minds. That's why it's illegal in the movie. That's why
I think it's Brad Pitt.
Brad Pitt, c'est pas mal. I would come with you.
I feel like I'd choose an animal or something. Maybe one of my dogs. I have an old beagle rescue named Julie, and she's very active when she sleeps. I'm sure she's just hunting rabbits, because I don't permit that behavior anymore.
I suppose if I were to go into someone's dreams, maybe Michael Caine.